Hi you guys and girls, back with another video. Today I'm looking at doing something a little bit different again, and although we're not quite at the end of the season, I feel that even if the Seniors Cup isn't won or we qualify for the playoffs, I don't think my grades will drastically change. So I wanted to do a video where I graded Tamworth FC and their 24-25 Vanarama National League season, including a few sort of highlights on the pitch, off the pitch, grading all the players that have played for us. If I've missed any, please let me know. I won't be including youth players who are listed in the squad that I haven't seen feature. If there's any loan players or players we sort of sold on early, let me know in the comments, and I do apologise if I've missed any. I've tried to sort of research it as much as I can. So I'll be grading everything from different aspects, from players to staff to the club to different things, and solely my opinion. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but I'm just getting new to YouTube. I'm trying to get a bit of self-esteem, get a bit of confidence going by and working on like recovering from like PTSD and other stuff, and trying to I don't know, get a bit of value, get a self-worth, and sort of build myself back up. And Tamworth is one of the things I'm passionate about, and yeah, so this is a video I felt like I wanted to do. So first of all, we will start with the manager, Andy Peaks. Easy A+. I'm not going to go to the lengths of giving 10 pluses out or anything like that, because it'd just be chaotic, but Andy Peaks is a solid A+. When he came in, we had a season where we were lower mid-table, looking at the relegation zone at points, in Tier 7. Finished that league season on the up, in good form, which he carried through to the next season and got us promoted out of the Southern Central League into the Vanarama North. He built a squad full of players he was familiar with. He built a morale and a team unity that was second to none, and he created an atmosphere where players wanted to play, and they had an attitude from 1 minute to 90 minutes. We do not give up. We play for each other. We play for the badge. We play for the fans, and that is something that has consistently carried over since. He has been looked over for jobs, I think, such as Northampton, and where I'm grateful, because I'd rather him stay at Tamworth. Also, apologies about the glare with the sun and all that. Although I want him to stay at Tamworth, I do think sometimes clubs don't take into consideration what a person is, how special he can be, just because of age or experience or whatever. And he's shown he's got more than enough to lead a club like us to sort of unprecedented and unexpected heights, and he deserves every credit in the world. I can't speak highly enough of the job he's done. Even on occasions where I've wanted to see different players, the results are still happening, so I can't even say that my way would have been the right way, because he's picked a team and it's got the result that we probably weren't even expecting. I mean, this season has been ridiculous, to be honest. Obviously the cup run, which took us to the match versus Spurs, seeing Youngmin's son run out onto the Tamworth pitch, when a couple of years ago we weren't seeing anyone known unless they were sort of 37 and having a kick around for the local team. Andy Peaks, it's an easy A+. He's an absolute miracle worker. He deserves to be made full-time like he's gotten, and couldn't be more grateful to the bloke. His team as well, Neil, Tim, Beth, and those ones I know the names of, and others. Again, easy A+. You can't do everything on your own, and he's got a good team around him, a good unity seen in videos recorded behind the scenes. Everyone as one, everyone doing the best interests of the club, and from there it's just been a miraculous season. it's just mind-blowing what these players have achieved when you look at the other squads and you see some of the names, how recently they've played league football, even higher up, League One, higher League One, League Two. And these players that we have, who a lot of them work jobs, are still pulling out these kind of results. It's just awe-inspiring, and they deserve every bit of credit they can get. Next, I will move on to the grading the league season, which is, as I just said, pretty much an A+. Currently sitting 10th, 3 points off the playoffs. We clawed back a goal difference from double digits down to not far off evening out. Irregardless of if we make the playoffs, I couldn't give it anything less than an A+, because to get to this level was unexpected. To finish in the top half is an absolute joy. The amount of games that we've gone into with expectations against teams that we probably had no right to have expectations against at points, and they've lived up to it, is an absolute 10 out of 10 for me. Even if we went on to not win anything else, which touch wood we don't, I can't give anything less than an A+ for that. Same with the Cups, the run where we beat Huddersfield, Burton, and obviously took Tottenham to the limit, was probably beyond anyone's wildest dreams. So again, simple A+ for that. The Seniors Cup potentially could be something we're looking at. The other cup we didn't sort of get as far as maybe we'd wanted, but to be honest, when we're fighting on all fronts with a small squad, I think the league and the FA Cup were the bigger two to be looking at. But if we can end up taking the Seniors Cup home, beating Coventry, and hopefully, fingers crossed, a Burton final, which we'd win again for the second time in a season, that'd be the direction I'd like to end the season in. So moving on from there, we are looking at the players. So first of all, we'll start in goal. Jazz Singh, uber reliable, some absolutely phenomenal saves. He has had moments where little mistakes have happened. Whether or not you can, what you can attribute to that to, it's not always as easy to see as what you see. There's so many variables as a goalkeeper, but how he's played, the voice he gives at the back, there's certain things I like out of keepers, which he doesn't do as much, like his speed out the box and standing outside the box to give instruction, which I fully understand, but I think sometimes it can be a bit of a risk if there's a quick counter, whereas he hasn't really been caught out on that, but that's just a personal preference of mine. So for Jazz, I would give an A. He's played in literally every game. I can't really say anything that's particularly I can fault him on. Really nice guy, Tamworth through and through. Easy as one. Leon, I can't really grade him. I've only seen him a couple of times. When I saw him, really liked him. Very athletic, very flexible, very quick off the line, good shot stopper. I can't grade him, but I haven't seen enough. But it looks a great understudy and a good option if anything did happen to Jazz. Moving on to the defence, starting with Mr. Reliable Hayden Hollis, A+. I don't even know if I need to really go into why. I mean, every performance, he's just a leader on the pitch. He does the simple things well. I mean, he even throws in a skill move from time to time. He's been absolutely rock solid. Whoever he plays with, they excel as well. And he's created partnerships with at least 3 or 4 centre-backs that have all been as reliable as each other. And again, he scored a couple of goals. I can't remember a bad performance, really. So him, solid A+. Couldn't ask for more. Moving on to someone who I probably wasn't predicting to mark as highly, and it's maybe a little bit of a personal preference, is Kennedy Diggy. I absolutely think this guy's come in. He sat and waited and bided his time, wasn't given much of a chance except off the bench, and he's come in, he's been rock solid every game, doesn't put a foot wrong. He is reliable, he is strong, he is a good tackler, he is quick, and I'm going to give him an A grade for that. I was thinking at a time I wasn't going to be able to grade him because at the start he didn't really play as much, but he's been versatile when we've needed to be, and when he's stepped in, he's kept someone as phenomenal as Jordan out the team, and I can't mark him any lower than that for that basis. Moving on for that, we come up with Jamie Willett, who is probably my favourite player at the club. Since he came in, I just really like the guy. I thought he was the replacement for Alex Collard, who I thought was a real worrying loss when we started the next season after going up, because he was such a big part of the group. Jamie took on the role, very vocal, very reliable, doesn't really put a foot wrong. We've been blessed with some really good centre-backs, and Jamie's definitely one of those. I would say he had an injury problem, and obviously he went on loan to, I think, Hales Owen for a bit or somewhere like that, to get his fitness back. And due to the form of others, no fault of his own, he's not been able to get back into the team. I'm going to give him a B+, because I don't recall him doing anything wrong. And yeah, he's been solid since the moment he walked into the club. The two Jamies, obviously, we've still got the one. The other one's gone on to new heights with Walsall. And moving on to the last sort of centre-back position, we have Jordan Cullinane-Liberd, or Liberd, however you pronounce it. A lot of different ways in the crowd. Super athlete, rapidly quick, can play pretty much all over the defence. He's an absolute leader, plays with a smile on his face, tough as anything. He gets stuck in, he has a good argument when there needs to be one. And that's the only sort of slight negative. I think maybe his sort of arguments might have got him in a little bit of a trouble with bookings, but to be honest, with some of the referees we've had, I can fully understand why he'd get irate. A simple A again for him. I think he's been excellent this season. Absolutely brilliant. Can't fault him in any way. Our centre-backs as a group have just been near enough perfection. Going on to the left-backs. The first one I'm going to talk about was an early candidate for player of the season for me, Luke Fairlam. When he came, he was sort of more of an attacking winger. He used to playing switch with Callum as one up high, one in defence, and it worked really well in the first season. But Callum was always a sort of stronger defender. Luke was better going forward, slightly weaker in defence. Luke's defensive work is ridiculously good. Like, his positioning, his bodying, his tackling, his work rate, his passing has all been exceptional. This season, he was firing on all cylinders, and unfortunately, no fault of his own, he got injured at a pivotal time, which didn't really do him any favours. And by saying it didn't do him any favours, I would refer more to the fact that because he'd had the odd injury before, it seemed to take him quite a bit longer to recover. He'd been absolutely abused by some opposition players, and in games he was absolutely battered. One game he was like hurtled into the guardrail and not protected by the referee. So his body has taken like a battering over the season, but a lot of it's just been down to his dedication, his hard work. And although he might not play consistently to the end of the season, his improvement and effort and performances up to January and onwards, I'm going to give him an A. I want to give him an A plus, but because it was not for the full season, no fault of his own, I'll have to stick with an A. But Luke has been a shining light and has an attitude that I think any pro footballer could want, because he's made himself better in a position that it wasn't natural to him. He's made him all the capabilities in that position. He's worked hard on improving, and he has been a rock. Next, he is sort of fellow left back from the early days as well, Callum Cockrell-Mollett. I remember watching him as a youth at Walsall years ago, and he was just like a player I quite liked, because my parents were both Walsall fans. My mum is now a fellow season ticket holder at Tamworth now. I converted her. Callum, again, he has been really, really unfortunate with injuries through no fault of his own, and he's had spells where he's come in and out, not playing badly at all, but struggling to keep the fitness up to play consistently, and picking up new little niggles and knocks and not being able to get a clear run of games. But as of now, he's sort of back to it, and in nearly every game he's in for the talk of man of the match. He's been outstanding. He hasn't played as much as like Luke did so far, which is why I'm going to just stick to giving him a B. B plus, I think, because every game he's played, he's been awesome. He's played really well. His attacking threat's good. His defensive work is brilliant. Sorry, my cat is attacking my notes. So all the performances he's done, it's just not maybe enough performances to warrant going any higher at the moment. But if he'd had a season of that, you'd be talking A plus level, and it's really nice to see him back playing. We've spoken to his girlfriend a couple of times in the stands, and she seems a lovely person and a really nice couple. So yeah, wish them all the best, and I wish Callum a nice injury-free season for next year, and the continuation of this excellent form. Onto the right side, a personal favourite in Matt Curley. Matt's heavily linked to the club. He's been an attacking fullback for the last few years. He's been exceptionally good, Mr. Reliable. Even when we had poor games in other divisions, Matt was always just Mr. Reliable, the one you couldn't fault, and he was an absolute joy to have really in the team. And again, he's been unfortunate with injuries, and he hasn't really been able to get a good run of games together, also because of who we've signed on loan. I can't really knock anything that he's done. He hasn't ever put in any performances that have cost us goals, or really been like an issue or anything like that. So I think giving him a B, because I think going anything negative is unfair. He's a great squad member. I know he's got a lot of ties with the family who went through the tragic loss of that poor young lad, and that kind of stuff shows like what a good-hearted, kind bloke he is. And I mean, that family deserve every bit of positivity and love any Tamworth fan can give them. So for that, I'll stick with the B on him, and we'll move on to a guy who wasn't here for very long, but I thought should have been and deserved to be, which was Rico Brown. Loaned from Walsall, played right back, centre back, and was exceptionally good. He didn't last for too long, but just on his loan spell at all, I'm going to give him a B plus. I thought he was very good, very reliable, and due to the lack of use Walsall have given him since, it was ludicrous that they took him back. We technically haven't really needed him, but at times when Matt's been injured, it'd have been nice to give Ben a bit of a rest, and also have people play the desired positions rather than having Monash fill in every single position on the pitch. So I'd give him a B plus, and again, if we could potentially look at getting him next season, I'd be getting Rico back every day of the week, along with next guy, Ben Crompton, on loan from Sunderland. I think he shone out to us after a game earlier in the season, and we had him on loan, and dude's incredible. His defensive work, his attacking work, his fitness, his passing, again, not everyone's perfect, but from the season we've had with the players we've got, you could look at it going from a full-time club the size of Sunderland, where I used to live, coming down to a part-time club like Tamworth. He could see it as, you've got to have that professionalism, and you've got that attitude, the passion, the desire to keep playing, to make the most out of every opportunity. You're playing on a pitch that some people aren't as keen on as others, and it's massively different to probably what you're used to since you were younger. But he's been brilliant. I'm going to give him an A+. Probably the loan signing of the season. Oh, no. Second loan signing of the season, to be fair. But he's been exceptional for us, and I will miss Ben when he moves on. Next, we are moving on to the midfield, and there's more tricky ones here, but I'm going to start with something I just referenced there, the loan signing of the season, who sadly, after this weekend's game, is going back to Fleetwood, and that is George Morrison. It ties into another thing that I'll put later, which I'll say now. For me, my player of the season is George Morrison. His work rate, his pressing, his skill to use his body to win free kicks or get possession or move up the pitch, filling in every little gap he can find. He was just an absolute machine. His engine unmatched. Even by Jealous, I think Morrison even had a tiny bit more in him than that. And that was saying something, because Jealous's motor for us was awesome. But Morrison this season's been absolutely incredible. And I will sorely miss him. He's been a pivotal reason why we've rised up. And I'm hoping the rest of the team can fill in and give him, sort of validate his work there and keep us going well till the end of the season. Easy A+, and my player of the season. Number 2, Bekray Inoru. Didn't feature too much at the start. Looked really good pre-season. Always really exciting when he came on. January was a turning point, really, where he got attention for ripping Tottenham to bits. Since then, he's played really well, but he hasn't been consistently starting, which has been something that I felt a bit sad about, because he's so exciting to watch. So it's hard not to give him a high grade, because he does bring so much energy and excitement to the team. But I'm going to give him a B+ for what he's achieved so far. I think there'll be more to come as well with Beck, and I think there's potential room for him to go up a bit more output with the goals and the assists. But the impact he has on the pitch, the excitement he gives to the fans, I'll stick with a B+, because he is one of, like as I say, fan favourites. Moving on to Kyle, and this is probably going to be one of the lower grades I've given, but it's no reflection on the person of the guy. Love Kyle, think he's an absolutely great player for us. He's been pivotal on getting us to where we are. He's been great goals and assists in the last couple of seasons. He has a great attitude. I think he's been really unfortunate with injuries, which I think has also cost him a little bit of his pace, especially at this level. It's a bit more noticeable. He cuts in really well on that one side, but again, it's been pretty well defended against a lot of the time, and he hasn't had as much of a run in the team to give him the form or the confidence to really get going and kick on this season. So I'm going to have to give him a C. But again, lovely guy, lovely family, absolute legend of the club. If I was doing it since my time of watching him, the grade would be far higher, because I think he's been pivotal for Tamworth. But I think maybe if we do keep him and he can stay fit and work a bit on himself, potentially it could be a new dawn for him next season. But this season, unfortunately, hasn't been quite up to scratch for him. Next, moving on to Jordan Ponticelli, or Ponticelli, as one of the away commentators kept calling him. Seeing him in like fits and bursts, he's been, always seems to put the effort in. He hasn't had the most output or anything like that as of yet. I think he's a good squad player who could potentially get better. bedding in, finding what role, what position works for him. I'm going to give him a C+. I don't think he's done anything particularly wrong, but there's room for growth and potentially one who could benefit from, I wouldn't say a loan, but I think he just needs more exposure to football to keep going, because he's had flashes where he's come on, he's been really good, but it's not been sort of consistent enough because he hasn't been started enough. So C+ is the highest I can go for him. Next is Mr. Versatile Munash Sundere. Really good. I don't know now. I've got no idea what his natural position is. I think it's central mid. He's played attacking mid, right back, left back. I think he's filled in at centre back and defensive mid. He's really versatile. I think he might have become a bit of a jack of all trades, whereas he's not mastering one position and he being like the first name on the team sheet in that position. Whereas now he's starting to go back to the sort of more defensive midfield mark, which I think is probably his preferred position. And he's looked a bit more solid there since that, but he hasn't really been given a massive run in that position. It's been filling in X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to give him a B. I know not every performance has been spot on. There's been passing errors and some issues, but when you're filling in at that many positions and you're showing the attitude and the passion to help the team, can't mark you down too much. And yeah, solid B from Munash. Next, Alex Fletcher. I personally thought really good. I was surprised we loaned him out. I don't know if we're going to recall him now. George has gone back. I thought he's like a solid rotation option. I think there is another central midfielder that I'm completely forgetting. But if I have, just let me know. But I think he might have been someone we sent back. But I can sort of picture us sending him back. But the name is just eluding me. But Alex, yeah, the games he's played, he's been sort of solid enough. I'd give him a C at the moment. Don't think he's been given much chance to sort of shine or do much else. So yeah, it was C for him. Been through George. Ben Milnes, captain, fantastic. Best set piece taker at the club, but unfortunately he's not always on when we need him to take the set pieces. Great corners, great free kicks. Pace maybe not at this level. He's struggling a bit, catching up occasionally. His passing can be good. Hasn't been as influential in midfield as he was in other seasons. So for Ben, I'll be going with a B-. I think it's potential to maybe work on his sort of fitness, his speed, his pressing, but he always has a great attitude. Always is proud to wear the captain's armband and put the club at the forefront of his passion. So a B- for Ben. Kylissimo, I think he got injured really early on and not seen play, so I'll leave him ungraded. Arjun Reiki, again, rarely seen him play, seen a couple in like cup competitions. So again, I'm going to leave him ungraded. I've seen some things that make me positive about him, other things that I'm not as sure about, but young talent, and I'll leave him ungraded for now. Ronan Mayer, season of 2 halves so far. Before the Burton game, his loan spell, I'll be looking at probably an A. I love the impact he had on the team, his creativity, his movement, a bit jealous-like, a bit Grealish-like in his style. Really enjoyed that. Since he's come back after the injury, he's been a little less ineffectual and struggling a bit more off the left. I'd be interested to know if we could play him behind Dan in the role that's been left free by Nathan moving on. So I'd be interested to maybe put him on in the middle, then have Beck and Tom as the wingers. So at the moment, I'm going to be going on like a B for Ronan, but I think he's got heavy potential. If we could get him on a full season without interruptions. So many clubs get good players and they get a bit of a run, bit of form, but then they're recalled to the team who don't use them, and then all that is for naught. I think Ronan suffered that with that a bit again. So if we could get him on loan again next season, he could do even more for us. And finishing with the midfielders, Tom McGlinchey. I'm going to be completely honest. When I first watched him play, I didn't get him. I didn't like his style. I didn't appreciate him, and he was one of my least favourite players. but I am proud enough to admit when I'm wrong, and I was fully wrong on him. He's a very clever footballer, very intelligent, more of a defensive winger, reads the game really well, very unselfish. Wish he'd have got that goal against Tottenham, but that was unfortunate. He's gone strength to strength, got some important goals. It was his shot that led to the sort of like his work against the Burton, which is why we got the victory in that. And I'm going to give him a B plus, I think. I've been glad to be proven wrong. He's been really good, really exciting, and yeah, a solid member of the squad. Moving on to the attackers. Again, if I've missed anyone, I'm so apologetic. I'm new to YouTube. I'm doing it as a sort of passion project because I love the things that I love. I want to do more videos in regards to like mental health and various things, and I'm recovering from PTSD, and I'm using this as like a mechanism to improve my confidence and skills and stuff like that. So if you enjoy it, please like, please subscribe. I'll do more Tamworth reviews as I go to every home game, and eventually when my back is sorted, I'll probably start going to more of the away games too. So moving on to the attack, we will start with Miracle Okafor. I was really excited about this lad pre-season. He looked unbelievable. I have to say, it never really clicked in the league. He had a couple of good performances in the cup, but in terms of the league, never clicked. So it's hard to grade him because he didn't play that much, but I'm going to have to give him a D. Pre-season hype, felt like he could have been the answer to everything. A guy with the pace to run off Dan's knockdowns and his hold-up play, but unfortunately that never materialised. And I hope he goes on to find success in whatever he does in another club. Obviously still football. Kai Williams, tricky one, doesn't play that much, unsure if it's through the injuries or whatever. He's very quick, but I think he's flattered to deceive a lot, hasn't done as much as I'd have hoped. So I am going to go with a D for him. I think he could have benefited from a longer period in the team, or maybe a loan out to pick up some form and some confidence. He's got potential. When he comes on, he looks capable of a lot. But I just think, unfortunately, it's not quite all come together at Tamworth as of yet. Ben Akwaye, good start to the season. He had that unfortunate time of when he first signed, he looked like a world beater, and then he had that ban that he had to get through. And this season, he unfortunately picked up a season-ending injury early on and won't likely feature again for the end of the season. So I'll leave him ungraded. Hopefully he'll be back. Depends on the injury, depends on how he recovers. But I wish him well with the recovery and hopefully see him back at some point. Next, we will go with Danny Waldron. He's only come in and played a couple of games, so I'm not going to grade him, but I've enjoyed his performances. His goal against Solihull in the Cup was really good. Great crossing from Kyle, headed on from him. Got a bit more of an engine, presses a bit more up top. Different player to Dan. Kind of interested to see how they play together. I think they'd probably complement each other's style quite a bit, but he's had no real output at other clubs in the last sort of season or two. And he's come in with a really good attitude and a real clear desire to do well. And I'd quite like to see him maybe stay if we do sign him, because we're quite threadbare on the striker front, which will lead me to my next one. So Danny will remain ungraded, but potentially may keep on next year. Next one, Chris Ray. I really liked his style. I found more towards the end, he was predominantly doing like flicks and clever things rather than focusing on what was best for the attacking movement. Unfortunately, there was a acrimonious and unhappy end to his time at Tamworth, which I don't really want to get into because it's not really my place. So I'm going to maybe just leave Chris ungraded. He didn't play the most. He did play a bit. I think he could have done more with the minutes he had. So, you know what? I'll get off the fence with that. I will grade him C minus. I think he could have done more. He was capable of doing more, but for whatever reason, it sadly didn't work out, and it was a real sad end to his time here. Another one who has moved on, which broke my heart, was Nathan Chikuna. I don't think his form was as consistent as he would have liked. He did have some good output this season, and he's just the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Plays with a massive smile on his face, loved the club. Went off in search of a full-time contract and unfortunately got sent off in the first game, which meant his homecoming was he got a nice reaction, didn't get to play against us, which I'm quite happy about, to be honest, because I just wouldn't have liked to have seen him against us this soon. Great bloke. I'm going to give him between a B and a B+. I don't think it always came off for him, but I think he influenced the top half a lot. So I'm going to go in between for him, and wish him well on his future career. Whether or not he comes back to us again, I'm not sure, but all the best, Nathan. Okay, the next one and the last one of the players front is a guy who I'm going to give the MVP of the season award to, which is Dan Craner. His attitude is amazing. He's like voice as a captain of the team. I know he's not the actual captain, but like Jazz has a voice, Ben, Dan, we have voices from all over the pitch, which is really, really vital in terms of spreading the message around, getting the message to get the best out of the team. And Dan has been pivotal of our rise up the league, and he has improved his physique, he's improved his play style. This league's really suited his sort of physicality, his how he plays. And I mean, I think he's sitting on maybe 16 goals and 6 or 7 assists, which is incredible. Really happy for the guy. He's gone through some personal things at Tamworth, which were really sad. And as a bloke, as a guy, really chuffed for him that he's doing as well as he is. And Tamworth through and through. We know the song, love the guy. I'm going to go with an A+ for Dan. I think he offers so much to the club. And yeah, lastly but not leastly is the guy who's probably second, I suppose, for the MVP, because he brings something so completely unique to a club, and that is he has no hair but he don't care, Tommy Tonks. His engine is formidable lately. He's running. I love to see the area of grass he covers. His work rate is second to none. I don't think it's all there like passing, tackling wise, but the attitude is phenomenal. The throw-ins are just unreal. I mean, he's not like stacked with massive arms, and he just gets this distance that I don't think I've seen anyone replicate on any league. And I'm talking Delap, I'm talking sort of other ones that are doing the long throw-ins. They're not getting it to the level that Tom is. The amount of assists he's got from it, the amount of danger that causes, the amount of unpredictability it has. His corners have gotten better. His free kicks are getting better. I think his play's got better as the season's gone on. He's got more confidence in doing other things. It hasn't always worked, and sometimes when we've been a bit overrun in midfield, his sort of style of defending hasn't always maybe been what we've needed. But what he's given the team overall, I'm going to have to mark this season for Tom as an A-. I think no, I'll give him an A. I think a solid A, because the impact he's had with his throw-ins, with his passion. I remember the interview before the Tottenham game, and he's just a very likeable guy. He tries really hard, wears his heart on his sleeve, and I can't fault him for that. I think if his passing was slightly more on point and a couple of other little intricate things, I'd be looking at even higher. But his impact on the team, his popularity in the squad, and everything like that, I'm going to give Tom Tonks an A, and that is where I am going to finish on the players. A couple of other things that I wanted to just grade quickly before I finish. The fans, the loyal fans, the ones in the shed singing the songs, the season ticket holders, the ones that are consistently there week in, week out at home, going to the away games as well. They deserve an A+. I think they're great. The fans that I weren't as keen on are the ones that just came for the Tottenham game and then didn't carry on supporting enough of that. I think that was a real shame. To get that many people there, even if a higher percentage of them have stayed just to keep sort of get more money into the club, it'd have been great. And just to have more voices and more support behind the lads who genuinely deserve it playing at this level. So for the loyal fans that are there week in, week out, without it being Tottenham, amazing. For the fickle ones, very disappointing. And you should do more to support Tamworth because it's an amazing club on the rise and we deserve to have a bigger fan base than we do and not just turn out for moments that will make a nice picture on Instagram. My fan moment of the year is recently in a home game we had a linesman that was, how you say it, very, very small. And inside the shed, there was constant singing of Hi Ho, the Seven Dwarf song. And I nearly wet myself with laughter, as I think a few of us did on our side. That was my fan moment of the year. I thought that was genuinely hilarious. Some of the stuff the shed come up with and their timing and the comic side of it is very, very good. So I enjoyed them a lot. My football moment of the year, it was difficult to pick between beating Huddersfield, taking Spurs to the limit. But there was a tiny bit of negativity around the Spurs thing in regards to pricing, what season ticket holders got, and other various things, which is what I might put the Spurs thing second to the Burton game. I think beating them was extraordinary. The atmosphere, the away day, that was just phenomenally good. From it going down to what it went down to, from them scoring us firing back, that day was just incredible. The Tottenham thing is probably the more impressive thing overall, but my enjoyment factor, I'll go with the Burton as the football moment of the year. My last grade is going to go towards the club. Overall, I think the organisation of some things is a bit lacking, like when we've been queuing up for tickets and various things in a bar and there's like a massive group of seating that is being unused, yet a massive lot of us are standing outside in the freezing cold. That seemed a bit illogical. Communication, not the best. And I'd also say that the pricing issue in regards to the Tottenham game and also the pricing of the season ticket in comparison to where we're at, I mean, we've put a lot of money in for the level we're at, and I love the club. I love being a season ticket holder, but I do think the pricing is too high for the level that we're at. But the enjoyment factor and where we've gotten to and what we've put together, I can't begrudge giving the club money because they deserve it in terms of what they've achieved. But for the moments in which the club have maybe done the wrong thing in terms of how they've priced things or how they've interacted or given people notice about when tickets are being released, when you can collect things. Again, wasn't the best stocking of kits early on, which I think is something that should just be better organised early on. But the kits themselves, best home kit for the longest time I've seen, very like AC Milanish. Love the kit. Don't mind the away kit. I'm not massively keen on pure white kits, but as when we got it in stock and mixed up the merchandise, that's improved as well. I think with the hoodies, the scarves, the various things, I think they've done a lot better with the kits and merchandising this season. So that's been an improvement. I think the overall consensus is there's a little bit of a disconnect around some things. I know around the Chris Ray incident, there was a bit of a backlash and some people were very critical of the board and not reacting and stuff, but I don't know the ins and outs of that, and so I'm not going to attack them for that. So from the football side of it and what they've given me in terms of a club to love and a position where we're at, their impact on putting that together, I can't grade on anything less than an A. For other things, just maybe like quality control, like communication, organisation, and putting fans first, I'd put that probably a bit lower, more towards maybe the C plus. But I know there's limited staff, not everyone's full time, so I'm not going to massively knock them. A lower grade doesn't mean it's terrible or anything like that. It's just my opinion of how things have gone. But it's been a remarkable season. I'm hoping we can finish, ideally, playoffs and a cup. If not, however we finish, Andy Peaks, you're a miracle worker. Dan Creaney, you're an absolute legend of the club, and congratulations on your 100+ goals. The team, thank you for all of your effort that you have put in. And to all the fans, I'm wishing you a happy, healthy summer, a fun summer, and one where we are celebrating the miracle of Tamworth becoming a Football League club. Take care, guys. All the best. Thank you.